go out to shake John Stark's hand, and he wouldn't even shake my hand. From that point on, I made it a mission. I'm going to embarrass this kid.
For all of the people that grew up in the 80s and 90s, Reggie Miller was their Steph Curry. The man could get hot in an instant and knock down threes from every distance and angle. He could shift the game's momentum in seconds by getting the ball and knocking down a couple of threes. Just ask the New York fans. Of course, Reggie was also an elite trash talker. So much so that for the '96 Olympics, he bought dictionaries so he could talk trash to foreign players in their own languages. The man had no conscience on the court, and that can get you in a lot of trouble. Here are 6 players Reggie Miller truly hated, starting with the beloved New York Knick, John Stark. Reggie Miller and John Stark spent years going at each other during the height of the Knicks-Pacers rivalry. Both played with emotion and refused to give ground. Starks was wired tight and known for playing right on the edge. Miller knew how to poke, talk, and pull opponents over it. The two were made to clash. The rivalry took shape in the 1993 playoffs. New York knocked Indiana out in the first round, but by the end of that series, the tone had changed. In Game 3, Starks fouled Miller hard under the basket. They both stayed on the floor longer than needed, jawing and bumping. Nothing serious happened, but the energy shifted. By Game 4, Reggie had him figured out.
Starks could be triggered.
And he was definitely about to use that knowledge to get a competitive edge.
And I knew that.
He baited Starks into another foul, then waited. Starks reacted and threw a headbutt, catching Miller square in the face. Starks got ejected. The Garden crowd erupted and treated it like a rallying cry. Miller walked off knowing exactly what he'd done. Starks later admitted that was the moment he let his emotions get the best of him. The rivalry exploded during back-to-back playoff series in 1994 and 1995. Both teams were built on defense, attitude, and long memories. The games were physical, intense, and Reggie used every second to get under Starks' skin. In the 1994 Eastern Conference Finals, the series went 7 games. Miller took over in Game 5, scoring 25 in the fourth quarter while taunting Spike Lee from across the court. Starks watched the whole thing unfold and couldn't answer back. By Game 7, the pressure had flipped completely. Starks shot 2 for 18 in a close loss at Madison Square Garden, and the Pacers nearly stole the series. The following year, Reggie made sure to go right back at him. In Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, Miller scored 8 points in 8.9 seconds to stun the Knicks and rip the game away. He turned immediately toward the New York bench and let Starks hear it. Later in the series, Starks was benched in crunch time. The Knicks lost in 7, and the media went after him hard. His decision-making, shot selection, and composure were all questioned. Years later, he admitted he still thinks about that loss and believed they should have won the series. Reggie didn't give him the space to recover. Even after retiring, Reggie never stopped bringing up Starks. The rivalry clearly stuck with him. He talked about their battles in interviews, referenced their fights, and went out of his way to remind people just how much he enjoyed getting under Starks' skin.
I love me some John Starks.
In a 2012 documentary, he admitted that Starks was the one player he circled every time the Pacers played the Knicks. He knew Starks was emotional, and that's exactly why he kept targeting him. That edge never really faded. When the Knicks honored their 1994 team, Starks didn't mention the Pacers once. He left Reggie's name out completely. That same year, when Reggie was inducted into the Hall of Fame, he mentioned the Knicks rivalry but skipped Starks by name. Years later, Starks addressed the rivalry without pretending anything had changed. He said you respect the guys you battle with, but that doesn't mean you're friends. The next player, unfortunately, would never even get a chance to patch things up with Reggie, and that guy is the late, great Dražen Petrović. Before he stepped foot in the NBA, Dražen Petrović had already carved out a dominant legacy in Europe. He led Sabona to multiple championships, won a EuroLeague title, and put up scoring nights that turned heads across the continent. In one game, he dropped 62 points. He also starred internationally, winning medals at the Olympics and World Championships. He wasn't some promising prospect. He was already one of the best guards in the world. When he arrived in Portland in 1989, that didn't matter. The Blazers had Clyde Drexler and Terry Porter holding down the backcourt, and Petrovic was buried in the rotation. He wasn't given minutes, and when he was, he rarely got the ball. His role didn't reflect his ability. It didn't reflect his resume. For most fans watching the NBA at the time, he looked like just another backup. That changed in 1991 when he was traded to the New Jersey Nets. For the first time, he was a starter. He got plays called for him. He had freedom to shoot and space to move. His numbers jumped immediately. His shooting efficiency stood out, his confidence returned, and so did the attitude that had made him a nightmare in Europe. Reggie Miller now had to guard him for real. When Drazen arrived in New Jersey, he didn't wait for permission. The Nets gave him a starting job, and he turned their entire offense into his platform. In his first full season, he averaged 20.6 points per game on 51% shooting from the field and 44% from deep. He wasn't flashy. He moved well without the ball, came off screens fast, and made decisions even faster. If the shot was there, he took it. If it wasn't, he didn't force it. Reggie Miller saw him all the time. They played the same position in the same conference, so their matchups weren't occasional. They were routine, and they were tense. Petrovic talked constantly during games. His English wasn't great, but it didn't stop him from talking through every possession, especially when he was scoring.
And not only is he giving it off, he's telling you about it too.
Reggie said it was the closest anyone ever came to beating him at his own game. Petrovic gave him everything: points, pressure, and something, well, kind of hilarious.
And God rest his soul, smelled terrible.
The following season, Drazen raised his numbers again. He averaged 22.3 points per game while maintaining over 51% from the field and nearly 45% from three. The All-Star voters passed him over that year, but the league didn't. He was named to the All-NBA third team. At that point, there was no debate about where he stood. Petrovic was one of the best guards in basketball. Drazen Petrovic died in a car accident on June 7, 1993. He was only 28 years old and had just finished the best season of his career with the Nets. The timing made it harder. He was finally getting the recognition he had worked for, and then it ended without warning. The news hit the league hard. Most American fans had only just started paying attention to him. Coaches and players knew he was dangerous, but the public was still catching up. After his death, that changed. People started going back, watching clips, studying the numbers, realizing what he meant to European basketball. Reggie Miller became one of his biggest advocates. He always includes Drazen when talking about the best shooters of all time. Reggie lists him right alongside names like Steph Curry, Ray Allen, and Larry Bird. He's also said Petrovic was the hardest guy he ever had to guard and the most frustrating. Reggie never backed down from anyone, but he respected Drazen in a different way. He respected his off-ball movement, shooting, and overall toughness. Reggie said Petrovic was just as good as him at all of it. And he wasn't just trying to be modest. This was Reggie telling his truth. And the next player we'll talk about, well, he'll never be mentioned as a top player by Reggie. However, he'll always list him as the scariest player he went against. Rick Mahorn. Most people assume Reggie's pick for the dirtiest or most hated Piston would be Lame Beer. Or maybe Isaiah.
Who did you hate the most out of the Pistons?
But when Dan Patrick asked him that exact question, Reggie said a name that surprised a lot of NBA fans.
Probably Mahorn.
Rick Mahorn wasn't a star and never pretended to be. He was the muscle. During the late 80s, the Pistons became known as the most physical team in the league. Mahorn set the tone for that reputation. His presence in the paint meant pain. If you tried to drive, post up, or fight for a rebound, you knew he was waiting. Chuck Daly knew exactly what Mahorn brought to that roster. Mahorn never played dirty in the way some players flopped or baited refs. He just made contact hurt. He was famous for pulling the chair, a trick where he'd let big men lean in, then step back and watch them fall. He played low, strong, and smart. Wes Unseld taught him how to do that. Mahorn said Unseld taught him how to hold his ground without getting caught, and how to use strength to frustrate scorers without drawing whistles. That education turned Mahorn into the player every finesse scorer dreaded, including Reggie. Rick Mahorn's reputation wasn't just built on games. His style created tension inside locker rooms as often as it did on the floor. He clashed with teammates in Washington. He clashed with teammates in Detroit. He didn't change his approach depending on the jersey. During his time with the Pistons, Mahorn and Bill Laimbeer developed into one of the most physical front courts in the league, but they regularly fought each other in practice. There were real arguments, real hits. That dynamic worked because both refused to take a step back. Mahorn's hit on Mark Price during the 1988-89 season got him fined by the league. Price was concussed. Mahorn treated it like any other play. To him, that was part of enforcing the paint. He wasn't there to make friends. Mahorn didn't limit his physicality to game nights. That same level of intensity showed up in practice. Teammates like Barkley and Rodman recalled taking elbows during scrimmages. Whether it was a game or a workout, Mahorn never held back. When people asked about the fouls or confrontations, Mahorn didn't make excuses. He believed it was his responsibility to keep opponents in check and make sure his teammates felt protected. That was how he played, and he never apologized for it. Reggie faced Mahorn constantly during the late 80s and early 90s, when the Pacers and Pistons shared the same division. He didn't have the option to avoid him. Every year meant multiple games of screens, elbows, and shoves that didn't stop after the whistle. Mahorn didn't care about matchups. He would switch onto guards and push them around the same way he handled big men. Reggie got used to being bumped every time he tried to curl off a screen or cut back door. There was no relief. Joe Dumars once gave him a warning during a game. He told Reggie that if he beat Dumars off the dribble, he needed to watch out. Mahorn would be waiting. Reggie found out the hard way. On one drive, he ran into Mahorn and nearly lost a tooth.
And Mahorn had a crazy look in his eye.
Laimbeer got more attention, but Mahorn was the one who truly scared him. Reggie never forgot it. Every time the Pistons came up, Mahorn's name was the first one he mentioned. Not the best player he faced, but definitely the hardest one to survive. In the next spot, we have Alvin Robertson, another forgotten defender that dominated the 80s. Most casual fans today wouldn't recognize Alvin Robertson, but Reggie Miller never forgot him.
The meanest shooting guard, Alvin Robertson.
Robertson made 4 All-Star teams in the mid to late 1980s, a stretch packed with elite talent at the guard position. While names like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan dominated headlines, Robertson kept racking up steals and harassing ball handlers from baseline to baseline. In 1986, he won Defensive Player of the Year and Most Improved Player. No other guard has pulled that off in the same season. That year, he also recorded a quadruple-double with 20 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 steals. He's still the only player to reach that milestone using steals. He did most of his damage with the Spurs and Bucks, where he developed a reputation as one of the most physical guards in the league. He didn't need a system or help defenders to be effective. He just pressured the ball and took it away. Despite everything, all of the awards, stats, and records, Robertson rarely gets mentioned in conversations about the best guards of the era. But for anyone who actually had to face him, like Reggie, the memory didn't fade. Before their first game against San Antonio, Reggie Miller's teammate John Long gave him a heads up. If he beat his man off the dribble, Alvin Robertson would be waiting in the paint to make him pay. Reggie didn't take it seriously until he saw Robertson shove Long out of position without any hesitation. That was enough. Reggie stayed quiet from then on. He avoided Robertson, didn't test him, and refused to say a word on the court. For someone who built his reputation on trash talk, staying silent said everything. Robertson never needed antics to get into someone's head. He didn't dance after steals or shout after hard fouls, he just hit you. His defense didn't feel like strategy. It felt like punishment.
Vernon Maxwell. They cut from the same cloth.
That comparison didn't come lightly. Reggie has talked trash to some of the greatest players of all time, however not to Robertson. But now we come to the most important question. Why isn't Robertson more known outside hardcore NBA fans? Alvin Robertson never built a brand around intimidation, but Reggie Miller still calls him one of the meanest defenders he ever faced. He didn't throw elbows after the whistle or make a scene when he got a stop. He just clamped you, shoved you off your rhythm, and made sure you felt it for the rest of the game. His strength, balance, and footwork were all elite. But what stood out most was how casually he did it. There was no performance, no need for showmanship. Robertson didn't play for the Lakers or Celtics. He didn't have long playoff runs or big endorsement deals. But guys who had to face him still remember him. Reggie has gone up against everyone from Pippen to Joe Dumars, and he still puts Robertson's name near the top of the list when asked about defenders. That kind of respect doesn't come from highlight reels. It comes from the bruises that never quite go away. Alvin might have been forgotten by the general public. That's why we're going to follow up with someone unforgettable, and that's Kobe Bean Bryant. Before Kobe entered the NBA, Reggie Miller was asked by Arn Tellem, who represented both players at the time, to help mentor the teenage prospect. Reggie agreed, thinking it would be a one-time thing. Instead, he got a glimpse of Kobe's obsession with detail. According to Reggie, Kobe constantly studied Michael Jordan and asked every possible question about his game.
He wanted to do everything like Mike.
During the 1998 Bulls-Pacers series, Reggie and Kobe stayed in contact. After each game, Kobe would call to ask about Jordan's decisions on specific plays. Reggie said Kobe wanted to learn everything, from footwork to angles to timing. He didn't care that Reggie was preparing for a playoff series. He just wanted to understand how Jordan thought. Before the 2000 finals, Reggie and Kobe were teammates in a charity game against MTV's Real World cast. During warm-ups, Kobe pulled him aside and asked for help with the step-back jumper. That same move showed up in Game 4 of the finals.
He is using this, what I taught him, on me and us.
Kobe used it to hit key shots down the stretch, including during overtime. The Lakers won the series in 6. Reggie never got another shot at a title. In 2002, during a regular season game in Los Angeles, everything shifted between Reggie Miller and Kobe Bryant. What started as mutual respect from years of mentorship cracked in the heat of competition. Late in the shot clock, Kobe pulled up from deep, even though the game was already under control. Reggie took offense.
Yeah, go ahead and get your numbers, Kobe. That's what it's all about.
The two met at half court. They started barking at each other, face to face. Kobe moved in, and Reggie didn't wait.
And he took one step to me, and I body checked him right here. Yeah. Boom!
It turned into a full brawl. They stumbled into the scorer's table, swinging as teammates poured in. Shaquille O'Neal shoved through Pacers to reach Kobe. Robert Horry dragged one of Reggie's teammates off the pile. Austin Crocier's jersey got ripped in the chaos, and Jermaine O'Neal had to be restrained by Mark Jackson. The entire bench cleared, and the fight became one of the wildest scenes of the season. Whatever friendship they had, it didn't survive that night. Both of them were ejected, with Kobe receiving a $12,500 fine and Reggie fined $10,000. The league handed down 2-game suspensions and warnings to other participants in the fight. After the game, Reggie deflected attention by saying Kobe had his own issues to handle and that the incident wasn't about him personally. Media outlets seized on the comment, describing it as vague but loaded enough to stir speculation. Barnes. He said, "If you got a problem with Mike, you got a problem with me." Reggie Miller. Yeah, right?
He said you got a problem with Mike, you got a problem with me. Yeah, right? Yeah.
Analysts pointed out that Reggie's remarks seemed intentionally provocative, framing them as calculated rather than emotional. Mark Jackson later recalled a commercial shoot where Kobe beat Reggie in a quick one-on-one game, only to immediately ask for help learning Reggie's jab step jumper. Jackson viewed that as a rare moment of humility and respect from a fierce competitor. You already know who's in the number spot. His airness, the one and only Michael Jordan. Reggie Miller entered the league in 1987 and quickly learned that the road to success ran through Chicago. The Bulls were already becoming a powerhouse, and Jordan had taken full control of the league's attention. From early on, Reggie used him as a measuring stick. He watched hours of film trying to pick up on patterns or flaws, but none ever showed up.
No weaknesses. None.
It didn't take long for things to get physical. Jordan didn't like the way Reggie defended. He accused him of flopping, baiting calls, and using off-ball contact to stay in front. Reggie leaned into it, knowing he couldn't match Jordan's athleticism, but could at least wear him down with a whole lot of effort.
Yeah, motherfucker, I ain't going anywhere.
Jordan often went straight to the post when matched up with Reggie. He used his strength to back him down and finish through contact without hesitation. While other guards looked to avoid that kind of battle, Reggie stayed in it and kept returning for more. He didn't expect to win every exchange. What mattered was staying in the mix and refusing to disappear. Every time Jordan dominated, Reggie studied it and came back sharper. Over time, those matchups helped define his standard. He never saw himself on Jordan's level, but he learned how far he had to go by playing against him.
We will start with the MJ fight.
During a regular season game at Market Square Arena, tensions between the Pacers and Bulls exploded. Reggie had always played Jordan physically, but this time it escalated into something more. Reggie Miller. We're at home playing Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls.
We are at home in Market Square Arena playing Michael Jordan and Chicago Bulls.
The game was tight and emotions were high. After multiple hard fouls and shoves, Reggie decided he had enough of playing passive. He made the first move and initiated contact, squaring up with Jordan near half court. They got tangled up again later in the game, and this time Jordan snapped. He went at Reggie with punches and scratched him near the eye. Blood was visible, and the building went into chaos. Officials stepped in quickly, but the call didn't go how Reggie expected.
So I'm thinking, okay, maybe we'll get double technicals.
Instead, Reggie was ejected from the game while Jordan stayed in.
If I get thrown out, he's going to get thrown out.
Reggie got suspended for 1 game. Jordan only missed time later after the league stepped in post-review.
Just you got kicked out the game. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Wow.
Reggie believed that moment proved the league protected Jordan at all costs. Even years later, he said the incident stayed with him and occasionally made him want to run it back. To him, the NBA let Jordan get away with everything whenever their clashes got serious. The 1998 Eastern Conference Finals gave Reggie his only real shot at knocking Jordan off the top. The Pacers came in with momentum, talent, and experience. It was the best team Reggie had ever played on, and everyone knew the Bulls were getting old. Jordan hadn't said it publicly yet, but rumors of retirement were everywhere. Reggie thought this might be their last real chance to take him down. That series lived up to the hype. Indiana pushed the Bulls to 7 games. Reggie hit a clutch three-pointer to seal Game 4, one of the most memorable shots of his career. Jordan kept answering every run, every punch. Game 7 in Chicago came down to the final minutes. The Pacers had their chances, but the Bulls made more plays. They won 88-83 and went on to take the title that year. Reggie finished with 22 points, but it wasn't enough. After the game, he admitted it still haunted him that he only faced Jordan once in the playoffs when it really mattered. Jordan walked away with his 6th ring, and Reggie walked away with more respect than ever. Reggie Miller had smoked with a lot of guys. Some pushed him, some annoyed him, and a few just made for good TV. But only a handful actually got to him. That list? It's short, it's personal, and every name on it earned their spot the hard way. If Reggie had a problem with you, chances are you were doing something right. Who's your pick for Reggie's biggest rival? Drop it in the comments. Hit like, share with another Hoops Junkie, and subscribe for more deep dives like this.